So these people believe they are Africans. They live in Africa, but then they don't allow any blacks in their town. Now, I didn't even know that there's a place like this in Africa until Wodimaya went to this place. The name of this place is called Orania. It's in South Africa. Now, these people are Dutch settlers who came to South Africa in the 17th century. And according to them, they bought the land from the government. The people from this place are called Afrikaners. Now, these people have their own culture. They have their own currency. They have their own flag and everything.
You get it?
If you want to be part of this community, first of all, you have to be a white person. That is the key factor. And second of all, you have to be fluent in their language, which is the Afrikaans.
Look at my face.
And third, you have to be a Calvinist Christian. And your record has to be clean. You don't have to have any criminal record.
Our name is Afrikaners. Our language is Afrikaans. Right. So we feel part of this continent, and maybe people don't agree, but I don't have another home. Obviously I know that I have European roots.
Yeah.
400 years ago.
Yeah.
For 400 years my people have been here.
Yeah.
I love Africa. I don't want to live anyplace else. The question, why can't a black person come here, is not the right question. It's more a question like a marriage between two people. It's an exclusive affair. Doesn't mean you're against anyone else. We want to preserve our culture. We want to preserve our traditions, our faith, our language. These are the things that we want to preserve.
But someone might ask, if you want to preserve your culture, you're preserving your culture on a land that belongs to South Africans.
The land here we bought, we paid for it.
From
Right.
who?
Well, at that stage we bought it from the previous owner, which was the government. Right?
But I don't think an African can leave Africa, go to Europe and say that we just bought this land and no one is allowed to come.
Why can't a black person come here? Is not the right question. It's more a question like a marriage between two people. It's an exclusive affair. Doesn't mean you're against anyone else.
You're preserving your culture on a land that belongs to South Africans.
The land here we bought, we paid for it.
From
Right.
who?
Well, at that stage we bought it from the previous owner, which was the government.
I don't think an African can leave Africa, go to Europe and say that we just bought this land and no one is allowed to come in.
We feel part of this continent, and maybe people don't agree, but I don't have another home. Obviously I know that I have European roots.
Yeah.
For 400 years my people have been here.
Yeah.
I love Africa. I don't want to live anyplace else. When I've been overseas, this is the only place that I feel at home. These men are part of our history. No nation's history is only good, but also no nation's history is only bad.
Would you agree with me if I say that this man performed a lot of atrocities in the past?
Obviously these are controversial figures, and I think that's why Orania is also a solution to a lot of the international conversation about monuments, because this is on private land, private funds, and it's our history.
I know it's your history, but at the end of the day, a lot of people were harmed in the process. You don't think if you are embracing this, you're definitely embracing apartheid?
Is it okay to celebrate Shaka Zulu leader? Do you know who that is?
I know who Shaka Zulu is.
He killed a lot of people. Is it fine to celebrate him?
That's a question for South Africans.
That is a question. This is a question for Oranians.
He was more like the architect for apartheid. I mean, we can never forget our history, but I mean, I feel like this being here, it's more like a sword in the eyes of the people of South Africa.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Do you believe that whatever you guys are practicing here is racism?
I do not believe that we are practicing racism. To tell you the truth, if the question is, are there racists in Orania, I can assure you there are. There are racists in every town in South Africa, and every country in the world you'll find racists. That is a fact. The Orania model is a model of cultural preservation, and that is not racist.
So if you check the coat of arms of South Africa, it said there is unity in diversity. What you are practicing in here is not unity in diversity.
I beg to differ. How can there be any diversity in South Africa if cultures are not allowed to be themselves? And what you're not going to get in Orania is people falling on their knees, continuously saying sorry for their history. A lot of people apologized on our behalf for everything.
Guys, a brand new country is emerging in Africa. The brand new country that is emerging in Africa is going to be a whites-only country. And people of South Africa be concerned about what is happening. And this is the Western Cape. Now, the Western Cape is basically, there's an organization known as the Cape independence advocacy group. Okay, and they have released a statement. And so they call themselves CIAG, so Cape Independence Advocacy Group. They formally notified the South African government of their intention to go to the US to have a meeting with Donald Trump. And out of this meeting, what they're hoping to get is the recognition of their own independent country in the Western Cape. Now, this is a headache. It's going to be a headache because they have been quietly populating the Western Cape with people who are fleeing Ukraine, and people who are fleeing Israel, and others have been populating the Western Cape. And now finally, the white people who basically, after their independence, after Nelson Mandela became president of South Africa, and he promised the Rainbow Nation, but it appears that these people weren't really ready for a Rainbow Nation. It's always interesting that it's only the black people who are always ready to mingle, always ready for the Rainbow Nation. But this is a very powerful organization, and they produce a statement notifying the South African government of their intention. So basically, this is going to be the next step before they declare their independence from South Africa. And this is a worrying thing because they're entrenching themselves as a white-only country, because Africa now doesn't have a white-only country. And this is now a country that is now moving from its embryonic state into a full-blown country. And you should be very worried.
Imagine a town frozen in time. In a remote part of South Africa lies Orania, a small isolated community where some say apartheid lives on.
Orania is a whites-only town. Black people cannot live or work here. Every job is reserved for the whites.
Do I believe that places like Orania should exist? No. Do I believe that Orania is racist? Of course. Those are the bad things, but there's also good things happening in Orania.
If you want to live in Orania, you have to meet certain requirements. The first and most important is you have to be a white Afrikaner. Afrikaners are descendants of Dutch settlers who played a key role in establishing and enforcing apartheid. You also need to be a Calvinist Christian, have a clean criminal record, and speak Afrikaans only within the enclave. Orania is a relatively small community of about 3,000 people, but they have big ambitions and are growing fast. They have their own local government, currency, flag, college, farms, a bank, and their own rules. Critics call them racists, but supporters say it's a place for cultural preservation and self-determination. This has sparked heated debates about Orania's place in modern-day South Africa.
So I made it to Orania. I don't know how many of you have heard about this town. It's a town within South Africa, around the northern Cape of South Africa. And this is the town that, I mean, online it's very controversial because to the people online, it's a whites-only town. But after coming in here, it's rather an Afrikaner-only town. But why is it only Afrikaner though?
Orania is a effort to preserve our culture, our heritage, our religion, to create a space for us here in the Karoo. So we've built the town here, we have created infrastructure here, we've done it all with our own money, using nothing from the government, getting no grants, no subsidies, not a cent from the government. So we are trying to build a place for our people to preserve our language and our culture.
People say that Orania is racist. Do you believe in that? Because I'm actually the only black man in here.
I don't think that's true. I think if you walk down the street, you will see that there are people coming into the shops from surrounding areas as well. There's many people visiting Orania. Orania, if the question is Orania racist, the Orania idea, in my opinion, is not a racist idea. Will you find racists here? Like in every other place on earth, I'm sure you will. But the idea of preserving our culture is not a racist idea.
So you mean that everyone is allowed to visit, but only Afrikaners can live in here? That's what you mean?
The way I see it is only Afrikaners wants to live here, because what we're building here is a project for Afrikaners. It's for people who want to build. It's a freedom effort for Afrikaners. So people visit us from all over the world, but to embrace the struggles of Orania, to help build, to help contribute to something here is mostly, well, 100% Afrikaners doing that.
I want to say thank you, and yeah, thank you. Let me just continue from here. So, I mean, we just did a whole full video, and I believe that you all need to check it out. For me, it's a very sensitive topic and also a very controversial one. But one thing that I would say, I might not agree with whatever happens in here, but there's one thing that I believe that the entire continent of Africa needs to learn from. And listen, the link is in the description. Don't be mad yet. Go watch the video. And if you get mad, come back and let me know. All right? But if you don't get mad, also come back and let me know. Go to YouTube and watch the full video. I'll see you all in the next one. And don't forget to like this video. It's very important. And can you press the share button so that other people can see it? Thank you. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Well, it's very easy to unite in dancing, but not to unite in sharing of wealth and property. That's why in South Africa, the whites have to create South African white-only town known as Orania. I hope I pronounce it well. Imagine, they can dance together, but they cannot live together in the same town. They created a city for themselves, and black people are not allowed to live in that place. Only white people. Like, just imagine, like, black people in Europe create a town where white people are not allowed to live simply because they are white. Like the kind of thing we accept in Africa, especially in South Africa, like the kind of nonsense, like, is very insane. You can't even imagine it. The kind of fright, the kind of stupidity that we allow. It's such a shame, to be honest. Just look how they are enjoying the dance, you know. But when it comes to sharing of property, well, living in a town, no, that's where they draw the line. That's crazy.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back to this channel where we dive deep into history, culture, and the politics that shape our world as black people and the African diaspora. Today, we're unpacking a fascinating and controversial place, Orania Town, in South Africa. This isn't just any town, it's one of the most unique and some would say problematic social experiments on the African continent. But what exactly is Orania? Why does it exist? And what can it teach us about identity, race, economics, and the future of Africa? Let's get into it. To understand Orania, we have to go back to the history of apartheid in South Africa. Apartheid was a brutal system of racial segregation and white minority rule, lasting from 1948 to the early 1990s. When Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990, and South Africa began its transition to democracy, many white Afrikaners, descendants of Dutch settlers, were afraid of losing not only political power, but also cultural identity. Enter Orania, founded in 1991 by Karel Boshoff, who just so happened to be the son-in-law of apartheid architect Hendrik Verwoerd. The idea behind Orania was to create a self-sufficient Afrikaner-only community where Afrikaner culture, language, and traditions could survive, even in a new South Africa led by the black majority. Orania isn't just symbolic, it's practical. The town is located in the Northern Cape province, and today it has around 2,500–3,000 residents. What's unique is that Orania operates almost like a state within a state. They have their own flag, their own schools that teach in Afrikaans, their own local government, and even their own currency called the Ora. Here's another twist. Unlike the rest of South Africa, Orania doesn't hire black labor. Everyone in Orania, from farmers to construction workers, must be white and part of the Afrikaner community. The official justification is that the town wants to be fully self-reliant, without depending on cheap labor or government handouts. But obviously that rule is what makes Orania so controversial. So why would anyone move there? For Afrikaners, Orania offers security, community, and cultural preservation. Many residents feel that post-apartheid South Africa is unsafe, or that their heritage is being lost in a broader, diverse society. Orania gives them a space where Afrikaans language and traditions are protected. There's also an economic reason. Because the town is so controlled, crime is extremely low, and development is community-driven. Residents see it as a chance to live in a small-scale utopia where everyone shares the same values. But of course, this comes with heavy criticism. Orania has been described as a form of voluntary apartheid. In a country that struggled for decades against racial separation, Orania seems to some people like a step backwards. Critics argue that while South Africa is trying to build a multicultural democracy, Orania reinforces racial division. Some also say the town benefits from being within a black majority state while refusing to integrate with that state's people. For example, Orania residents enjoy South African citizenship, roads, and national services, but the town excludes black South Africans from living or working there. There's also a symbolic issue. Apartheid left deep wounds in South Africa, so a whites-only town founded by Verwoerd's family is seen by many as an insult to the sacrifices made during the struggle for freedom. But let's step back and analyze this more deeply. While Orania is controversial, it also raises big questions. Should groups have the right to preserve their culture, even if that means creating exclusive communities? Does self-determination for one group automatically mean exclusion of others? And if black South Africans were to create an all-black self-reliant town with its own currency, would that be celebrated or criticized? This is where Orania becomes less about Afrikaners and more about the principle of community sovereignty. Another angle we can't ignore is the economics. Orania has managed to create jobs, build schools, and develop without much outside help. They circulate their own local currency, which keeps wealth inside the community. They invest heavily in agriculture and renewable energy. For us in the diaspora, there's a lesson here. When a group pools its resources, controls its economy, and invests in itself, it can create stability and growth, even in a small space. That's something Pan-African thinkers have been pushing for decades. Orania isn't unique to South Africa. Around the world, there are intentional communities. Whether it's Amish towns in the US, indigenous reserves in Canada, or even historically black towns like Greenwood, Tulsa, in the early 1900s. Each reflects a desire for autonomy and cultural preservation. So here's the bottom line. Orania is complicated. On one hand, it represents a community trying to preserve culture, safety, and economic self-reliance. On the other hand, it raises tough questions about race, inclusion, and South Africa's painful history. For us, as Africans and the diaspora, the story of Orania is less about whether we approve or disapprove, and more about what we can learn. How do we build our own safe, prosperous, and self-sufficient communities without falling into exclusion or repeating the mistakes of the past, brothers and sisters? Orania may be small, but it opens up a huge conversation about identity, economics, and the future of Africa. What do you think? Is Orania just a relic of apartheid, or is it an example of self-determination? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into African and diaspora issues. Thanks for watching, and kindly subscribe, comment, like, and share this video. Peace and blessings. See you in the next episode.